case you're wondering, this video is kind of from place to place. You're going to see a lot of stuff, but in the end, our end goal is to race a Husqvarna 450 with a Partner 5000 top end put on it against a Partner 5000. Two builds that I've done. I'm kind of curious to see which one's faster. So we got this one back up and running and cutting wood today. It's coming up in the future here. We're going to race them. But we got a bunch of other stuff leading up to that. So hope you enjoy the video. So I'm going to run out of wood this year. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. So those of you who have been around for a little while, you'll realize that there used to be a monster mountain of wood right here. It's gone, all of it. All that's left is a little pile here by the splitter and a little bit over there that needs split. But otherwise, it's just two rows here. My best guess is that I have maybe 12 weeks of wood left. Could be a little more, could be a little less, but 12 weeks, I'm guessing. Which would put me to what? The end of April? May? Somewhere in there. So we typically burn wood through May. So basically what's going to happen is I'm just going to, I'll finish the season off with oil. It'll be into that time of year where it's not going to be a big deal, you know what I mean? This cold weather really put a hurting on my firewood. Plus, the type of wood I've been burning really wasn't that great. Very little oak. And oak lasts way longer than a lot of other woods. Burns hotter, you know what I mean? So this year we went through a lot of poplar and maple and a lot of junk woods that don't typically like to burn. I just did it because, it was free, But on the bright side, we got through, a winter with free wood, But this year, we're going to be completely out of wood. And I've said it about in the past how, I want to try to get a year ahead. And here I am, I'm going to end up burning every stick of wood that I have. So I think this year we're going to try to focus a lot on firewood. Try to get 2 seasons worth of wood here. In fact, I've already ordered a triaxle load of logs. It is coming. I ordered it like 2 weeks ago. So one of my projects coming up here is going to be to just get this splitter out of here. I'll probably take it up to the shop because I want to do some work to it. But I got some rounds over there. I need warmer weather because, once it gets cold, the hydraulic oil gets pretty thick, and it's basically you can't get the splitter to start because there's just so much, dragging on the engine to try to get it to go. So I need a warmer day, and it looks like next weekend it's supposed to get up to about 50, which should work out perfect. I should be able to get all that stuff split up, get the splitter out of there next weekend, and then get this cleaned up. That way, whenever our triaxle load of logs comes, we have a spot to put it, But our goal this year is actually 2 triaxle load of logs. 2. We'll see how it works out. That should be about 14 cord, for those of you who are not familiar. About 14 cord of wood we're going to try to get pumped out of here this year. And then every year after that, we'll be basically adding about 6 or 7 cord to it, which, I don't know. Technically, I'm burning in excess of 8 cord. So, if a triaxle load of logs ends up at 6 or 7 and I'm burning 8, I'm kind of working behind. And that's kind of what happened here. So we definitely need to get 2 loads in. And I think the first load should be here in the next couple of weeks. We'll see though. It usually takes a month or 2 from the time I order them. Sometimes 3. Just depends on how he is and his working and everything. This is his busy season, so there's a waiting list to get your wood, and I'm on the list. I'm 2 weeks into it, so just a little something to think about. We got a lot of wood headed our way this year. All right, so we are in the shop now, and I am getting ready to start a fire because It's been a while. I'm gonna do some saw work. Can you hear the snowmobiles? They're headed this way. Listen. Can you hear them? Oh wait, they're not on the throttle anymore. Wait a minute. Yeah, maybe not. They may not be headed this way. But I can hear them out there running. A couple of them. There's like 4 or 5 guys running around on snowmobiles, having fun, screaming through the fields. But I want to get back to work on that 61. But I've been sick, really sick for a while. I got, let's just say it was coming out of both sides. Let's say that. And it was bad. It was, I don't know, well, I mean, whenever it first started, it was like twice an hour. And then it just kind of slowed down to about 4 times a day. And that lasted for a couple of days. And now I'm at like once or twice a day. So I'm still pretty run down, but I don't care. I want to do something. I've been sitting around doing nothing, you know. I'm going to do something. So we're out here. We're getting a fire started, and we're going to work on the 61. Once I get this shock warmed up a little, you know. So let me get this fire going, and we'll bring you back. All right. So the last video I had said we need a new crank, new gas tank assembly. I mean, the isolation mounts on this thing are shot. Look at this. There's like no isolation mounts on it. You know, I wanted to go with an OEM setup, but by the time I got done doing all that, an aftermarket setup would have been cheaper, you know? So that's what I did. And I ordered everything from Wagner Chainsaw. And their parts are usually all Farmer Tech. Usually. And I have better luck with Farmer Tech parts than I do a lot of other aftermarket stuff. So that's what we did. And we ordered them all from one spot, so we got it all in one box. You know? There's our tank. It says Farmer Tech all over it. New isolation mounts, new everything. We should be good there. Farmer Tech crank. And just as I suspected, we're now going to a fine thread clutch setup, where this originally had a coarse thread. So we'll have to look at converting it. And our gaskets, because I'm gonna have to split the case. I needed a new case gasket, so I went ahead and ordered this from them. It's only like $7 or $8 for the kit, you know? So I won't be using all the gaskets. I'll just have some for spares, you know? But that's what we're doing. We're gonna start disassembling this saw and get her ready. The tank on this saw was leaking all across the seam, so she's getting a new tank. But what do you say? Let's disassemble this saw for a second time and work at getting our new crank put in it and reassembled. So this disassembly should be done in 20 minutes. You know, it's not a very complicated thing. All right, I got it all disassembled, and I'm comparing here. So this new crank, it's going to require a little extra work. I didn't notice, so this is the original crank, and if I wiggle on it and stuff, you can't really notice the difference until I have a good crank. I can feel the difference, but otherwise I probably would have never noticed any difference or any issue with this crank at all. You know what I mean? Not unless I had a good one sitting here. But the two issues I'm going to run into is the threading for the clutch is different, as you can see. I'm going to have to deal with that. And the keyway position is different. So here's the original. The keyway is basically straight off. Can you see it? I'm trying to get this to focus. You see how that keyway position is? Now look at this one. So if we compare the two, You got the keyway position there, but you see where it is on this one? Completely different places. So I'm gonna have to deal with that. But this one looks like, the original looks like it's positioned at like, if you're a top dead center, it'd be straight down. So I'm gonna measure it, but I think that's where it is. You know what I mean? Because at top dead center, it looks like it'd be perfectly straight down. And I think I'll just set the flywheel at that position. But I'm probably gonna have to do some timing tweaks after she's assembled. You know what I mean? Or something, I don't know. I'll figure out a way to measure it. I think will be the easiest way. I think dealing with the difference in the crank is going to be the biggest. But in order to fix this stuff, I needed to get my lathe, and I was working on another project that I haven't showed you guys. This is a crank. This is a Partner 5000 crank that I'm turning into a full circle setup. It's going to be my first time of doing this, and I'm getting there. I've got the crank turned down so that this here piece of pipe, I'm going to cut 2 slices off of it so that, and basically what I did is I turned the crank down to where once I heat this pipe up a little bit, it should slide together. That's where I'm at. Now the outside diameter of this piece of pipe is too big. So this is the crankcase. It's too big, it won't fit in there. And I'll have to machine probably half of that thickness away in order to get it to work. But I had to pull this project off the lathe in order to work on the 61. You know? So, back on the 61, I just figured I'd kind of give you that update. I want to work at getting this crank back into the saw, clean everything up, make these couple of little repairs, and we should be good to go. Okay, I'm actually onto the next day now, and I really got detailed, or really, I don't know how you want to call it. I was really looking closely at everything. So the crank, we had a little slop in the crank. We got the crank replaced. But the more I investigate, the more I'm realizing that we need to replace the top end. The cylinder, the bore of the cylinder is wore out enough that the piston is wanting to flop in there a bit. And instead of putting her together like this, I went ahead and ordered another top end. And since I've been going with 266 stuff up to this point, that's what we ordered. So we're gonna wait for another top end to come in before we go any further. We're gonna put another top end on the saw. I could cut it together. I could probably get it up and running and everything, but it's still probably gonna wanna rattle. Piston slap, you know. There's just a little bit of play in there that the piston can flop around, you know what I mean? So this project is gonna wait until we get another top end. This is an old saw, and it's definitely going past the point of being worth it, if you know what I mean. The number of parts I've put into this thing, the amount of time, it's definitely way past the point of being worth it for the project, but I am this far into it, and I'm going to finish it. You know, the top end should be the last thing that would need, you know, everything else would be new bearings, new crank, new seals, new piston, new cylinder, new carburetor, new intake, new everything. You know what I mean? Should run pretty good at the end, but basically we're gonna have a 61 that is essentially been converted into a 266 in the end. I think. The cylinder I ordered didn't really show the transfers and stuff, but I think it looked like a 266 top end. It is a 50 millimeter top end. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We are going to convert this. I'll just say it's going to have a 50 millimeter top end on it. As far as what transfer design it is, you know, some of the aftermarket cylinders are better than others, and I'm really not worried about that. This is going to be a firewood build, you know, and I want to put it in my firewood saw lineup. So basically my firewood saws, like they're just dedicated as firewood saws, are going to be the 61 here. My Johnson Red 670. And I have that Husqvarna 51. And I'm also looking to get a white top Husqvarna 50 that, I don't know, I'm hoping to get one and get it turned into a firewood build for, you know, my firewood work. I'm also looking to get an 026, 036, and 046 for my firewood builds. My 036 though, it's a bit of a hotter build. So it's actually capable of racing, but I do run it in firewood. It's kind of like in that in between space. I have an 046 here, or well, it's an 046 with 460 parts. There's an 044 cylinder laying there that I could put on it. You know what I mean? And then we have an 026 coming as well one of these days. So, you know, I'm going to have my firewood builds as well as my race builds. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with this 61. Now, what am I going to do in the meantime? That's the question. What am I going to do while I'm waiting for a top end? And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 50 down here that I put a Partner 5000 top end on. It's been a while since it's ran. That's because I stole parts off of it. I have the parts here now that I could get it back up and running. All I needed was throttle linkage. Yeah, all it's been waiting on is some throttle linkage, and I got it. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it and get it back up and running. And I think maybe here at the end of the video, we'll even take it out and give it a couple of cuts, because this saw is very hot enough that it misbehaves from the first cut. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see how this goes. Now I have a Flywheel here for the 50 that I haven't ran yet. I've been working at shaving some weight off of it. It's not done, but I'm going to run it. You can see here I put it on the lathe and took some off the back. This is a Flywheel off of Partner 5000, but you get an idea. That's about how much material I shaved off. See what I mean? I'm going to put this on the 50, see how she does. May not make a difference. Should help make the throttle a little snappier, if you know what I mean. A little less sluggy. Now, I was trying to show you the tack. It was proven to be more difficult than I thought, but it's free revving just shy of 16,000, like 15,860, somewhere in there. So yeah, that's where she free revs. She's running again. It's been a while, and we discovered last time that she would misbehave like a son of a gun. Something's different this time, and the main thing that's different is the carburetor. So I'm wondering if we were just experiencing a carb issue before. You know what I mean? I did end up trying that carb on a different saw, and it failed. Like, I pulled the carb off this saw, put it on a different one, and it failed on that other saw. So I'm wondering if all those issues we saw before were carb issues. You know what I mean? But only one way to find out. Now I got to grab a bar and chain and get this thing in the wood. Alrighty. All right, let's give her a run. Chain's not 100%. It is a square chain, it's a square hand file chain, but main thing is the rakers. I just took a guess. I don't have my raker gauge. Well, my raker gauge for 325 chain is wore out, so it's just a guess. What do you say? We go ahead. We'll give it a quick run. This isn't going to be the final results by any chance. You know what I mean? But let's make sure we got her back up and running properly. She's probably going to be really fat. I'm going to have to lean her out probably. All right, she definitely runs better than it did last time, more stable. And well, last time it was showing signs of like running super hot, and it's not doing all that now, you know. So it must have been carburetor related. That is a brand new carburetor on it. It's a different carburetor altogether. It is a 372 carb. So I had stole the carb off of this for another saw, and when I put it on the other saw, I instantly realized I had carb issues. You know, just this one ran with it. Just, you know, I don't know. It was weird. Now, I am having an issue with the throttle linkage right now. The linkage just isn't quite spaced right, because I'm only getting like 3/4 throttle most of the time. So the last couple of cuts I kind of figured it out. I got to kind of stick my fingertip here to squeeze it up in. Otherwise, when I stick my finger in here normal, I'm not getting it to full throttle. I have to use my fingertips. So I'm going to have to make an adjustment. So only those last couple of cuts were at full throttle. Most of the cuts you've seen were at 3/4. Yeah, she's back up and running. You might see this at the races this year. There's a good possibility she's at the races this year. So, you know, I wanted to get her back up and running and going. So there she is. Yeah, that's it. This is basically 2 days of me tinkering around all in one video. So hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, there we go. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.